the character of a country.
So I just want to get you two gentlemen straight on this. Are you both attesting that a president can live with himself and be our leader if he stands by the principle which he holds when he goes into office? He doesn't believe in torture. And it turns out there is a horrible circumstance where someone, and this is in the Dershowitz role model here, where someone does have some information, they're party to a crime about to take place, and we don't torture them. There is a hellish situation which develops, a catastrophe, and the president can still come to the American people and say, look, I could have tortured the guy. I didn't do it. I might have gotten the information. I was willing to foreclose that a possibility because I don't believe in torture. Ed Schultz, is that what a leader in the presidency should do and say, and does it cover him?
Absolutely. This is a generational fight to show the rest of the world exactly who we are. Our moral high ground is something that we care about. It's almost like, Chris, the president's trying to say, okay, I'm willing to lose a battle, but I'm not going to lose the war. I'm not going to lose the next generation. I'm not going to have the next generation of people on the face of the earth thinking that the United States is something that it wasn't supposed to be. And I think the fact that he read that article and talked about it tonight is a real profound message to the American people that he is studying this issue. He just didn't happen to come across an article that talked about torture and Churchill. I mean, I think this president is heavy on the issues. He is solid in his foundation. And the fact that he's reading stuff like that goes to show that he's on solid ground and where he wants to go with this.
Yeah, I just wonder again to you, I'm going to end this after this, Roger. I am torn by this because I do believe certain people are susceptible to torture. Not everyone is, but everyone, as we read in 1984 by George Orwell, everyone has the one thing they're afraid of. Find out what it is. You can get people to do certain things, including disclose what they're up to. Roger, what do you make? You do believe that torture doesn't work.
Since you quoted 1984, let me quote O'Brien, the torturer in 1984, who says the purpose of torture is torture. And that's what the purpose of torture is. It doesn't get you valuable information. It's simply, as people who have carried out torture have said and written, it gets you far more false leads than it gets valuable information. And what is unknowable in the scenario you set up is that a president or anyone else could possibly know in advance that the answer of the tortured person is correct or merely what he's saying to end the torture.
It puts our military in just a horrible position. Yeah.
Yeah,
it puts our military in a horrible position, Chris. That's the tough thing. You've got to view this, that the military is on the moral high ground, intelligence is on the moral high. All across the board, the United States of America is now making a statement under President Obama what direction we're going to go. And under the rule of law, the Attorney General will take care of this.
Well, let me ask you about this moral issue, because it grabs me here. President Harry Truman dropped the 2 atom bombs on Japan, civilian populations in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, knowing he was killing civilians by the tens of thousands. Civilians. Okay, that's our normal definition of what terrorism is. He said he never had a problem sleeping afterwards. Presidents like, or vice presidents like Dick Cheney had the possibility of having to shoot down that airplane headed towards Washington, had that hijacked plane been really closer to Washington and not been taken over by the American passengers. These are horrible decisions. And both you guys say that in the case of torture, there is no tough decision. You would just foreclose it. You first, Roger.
Well, I would foreclose it. And what you bring up about Hiroshima and Nagasaki is interesting because it also goes back to the Churchill point. Because we're human beings, we have a particular human reaction to some forms of punishment. More Japanese people were killed in the fire bombings of Tokyo by us than were killed at Nagasaki or Hiroshima. And Churchill, though he banned torture, approved the firebombing of Dresden and Hamburg and other German civilian population centers to dehouse the workers, the public, meaning bomb them. So, you know, war makes you do all sorts of terrible things. One of the worst things it makes you do is resemble the enemy you are fighting. And I think Barack Obama is struggling to keep us from resembling our enemies.
Well said. But Ed, did you have any problem with these other decisions presidents have had to make, which are horrible? And potential
not in a declared
decisions.
war, not in a declared war, and also that was a military strategic move to end the war because it would have taken 1 million men of an American army to go in and take over Japan. So it was shortcutting and cutting our losses and doing what we had to do to end the war. I think that there is strictly, clearly a difference here.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Ed Schultz, thanks for being my colleague, and Roger Simon, as always.